الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. So we discussed Nuh alayhi salam and Habil and Qabil and the fitan that happened. After that, as we see from the ayat of Quran, Adam alayhi salam, to the time of Habil and Qabil and the fitan. From Adam alayhi salam to Nuh alayhi salam, there was no shirk in those generations. As Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, he mentioned the Sahih Isnad from Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, كان بين نوح وآدم 10 قرون. يعني لم يقول 10 سنوات أو 10,000 سنوات أو 100 سنوات، لا 100 سنة لا، ولكن 10 قرون كلهم على شريعة من الحق، يعني على الحق في التوحيد. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma has narrated from an authentic chain of narrators that between Adam alayhi salam and Nuh alayhi salam there were 10 generations. Al-Qarn yani generation. Many of the scholars, they translated this to 100 years, saying 10 to be one generation to the next. Some of them said 1,000 years, yani each one being 100 years. But these are both mistakes, because the hadith here from Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma does not mention the number of years but generations. Why is that important? Because we know from ahadith that our father Adam alayhi salam, he lived to almost to 1,000 years. 40 years, less than 1,000 years, because of what he had given to Dawud alayhi salam, and that's the story in itself. But we know that the generations were longer at that time than in our time. And we know that Nuh alayhi salam, as we know from the Quran, that he gave da'wah for 950 years. So the average age of people in that time was close to 1,000 years. So if we take close to 1,000 years, 10 generations could be somewhere around 10,000 years or less. So for all that time, we don't know exactly how many years, and I found this even on many of the websites of our du'at and scholars, translating this to a number of years, instead of understanding that qarn does not mean necessarily 100 years. We cannot say 1,000 years, because each generation could be much longer than that. So when we stick to the hadith, we know for 10 generations, they were upon one sharia. Yani, there were no other madahib, there were no other adyan, no other religions, no shirk, no Christian and Jew and Hindu and Buddhist, none of that. Everybody was upon tawheed, even if somebody sinned. Even if somebody sinned, like we see in the story of Qabil. He sinned, but he was upon tawheed. He was upon the sharia. He was upon believing in oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and for 10 generations it was like that. After that, we find that the pious amongst them passed away, and Shaitan, he came to the people to misguide them. And what did he do? SubhanAllah, look at the tricks of Shaitan. He never comes to somebody and tells them, go make shirk, go make kufr, go do something haram, be zalim, be oppressive. No. Instead, Shaitan, he comes to a person thinking he's guiding them towards something good, he takes them towards something evil. Same thing with Adam alayhi salam. Shaitan came to him as if he's a well-wisher, and he took him astray. And in that way, Shaitan, he came to the people and he said that the pious amongst you are dying, and people are going to start sinning. And those pious people, if they're not there to remind the people, what will happen to people? So he came and he mentioned to them those 5 pious people from those generations. Some of the scholars of tafsir said these were the actual children of Adam alayhi salam. They were the names other than Habil and Qabil. Adam alayhi salam and Hawa alayhi salam had many children. Some of the scholars said no, from the generations of Adam alayhi salam, these were some pious people. What they are mentioned in the Quran, wad'an, as comes in the Quran, were 5 that were pious from the generations of Adam alayhi salam. And especially Wada', he is known to have been a very pious man, a great abid and a great zahid. Those that were dedicated to making ibadah and zuhud and calling people to stay upon the pure sharia and leave sins. But as they had passed away, the people started to sin, but there was still tawheed. There was no shirk until this time. Now in this generation, Shaitan, he told the people that the pious have gone. Those awliya, those zahideen, they're gone. And without them, how will you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So why don't you do this? Make a picture of them. Draw something to remind you of them. And he said, I will help you etch this picture. I will help you make this picture. SubhanAllah, when we look at the hikmah in Sharia to ban pictures. Today, many of our people, even ulama, they've become very lenient on this issue. We see ulama now when they print their books, on the back they put their pictures. SubhanAllah. Why? If Allah knows you wrote it, if you need to give authenticity to the book so you know about it, put your name, okay, but nobody needs to see your picture. But ulama today, even when they make posters, they want their pictures. Those who have fallen into the trick of shaitan, the trick of democracy and voting and elections and this fitna, they even put posters of themselves up on walls now. Big pictures. They tell you pictures are haram, but they put their own pictures on walls. So, this trick of shaitan, this is one of the earliest problems. Sit down? I'll sit up. This is one of the first tricks a shaitan came to initiate a shirk في هذه الأبناء آدم عليه السلام. So he went to them and he said about what? And Suwa'a and Ya'ub and Ya'ub and Naf. That we will make pictures of them and we will hang them so the people can know what they look like. And we will be reminded from them. And then slowly he said, what if these pictures are gone? Let's build their graves so we know where they died. And we know from the Sharia of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and the Sharia of Islam, we're not supposed to build on graves. We're not supposed to build on graves. But when you go to the Muslim lands, many people think this is a part of the religion. And they build big tombs on graves. And they go there and visit these graves, having big buildings built on them, thinking this will get them closer to Allah, not reading the Quran and not seeing that this is the way the shirk began. Not knowing the hadith of Sahih from Ali radiallahu anhu who said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam instructed me that if you see a grave that is built up, flatten it. If you see a statue, break it. But today, because of weakness of Iman, we want to sell the statues, we don't want to break them. We want to say it's okay. This is their madhab and this is their way and it's okay and it's okay. We don't see the harm. Today we want to hang up pictures of our relatives in our houses, on the walls. These have become mini idols in our houses. If you don't believe me, go to somebody's house who has a picture of a relative and make fun of it, or take it down, or say something about it, and you will see the love that they have connected with that picture. Even though we know in the Sharia that when you hang up pictures in the house, then the malaika don't come to your house. And this is a warning for all of us who are falling in this trick. If you have pictures of not in khilaf, leave all that. No alim said that it's okay to hang pictures in your house. Leaving all the khilaf out of it, no matter what opinion you take, hanging pictures on the wall, nobody gave ijazah for this. So we see the people, they started to build up these graves. And then shaitan slowly, he told them, why don't you make a statue of the person? Make a statue of this pious man. And these 5 were pious people, at no fault of theirs. Even today, sometimes when we go to the people who are building on graves, who are making these kinds of beginnings of shirk, we tell them, okay, don't do this. And they say, this was a pious man. Are you disrespecting him? No. Maybe he was a pious man, maybe he wasn't. That's not my job to do. Allah knows best. If a person is dead, his hisab is with Allah. But what you are doing by building up these graves and building buildings on these graves and making these special places of worship on qubur, that is man'a, that is forbidden by the Prophet ﷺ, this is the beginning of shirk. This is when shirk begins. So we have to stop this. The people, they started to go to these graves and make tawassul through them, asking them to intercede with Allah. And this is the step that led them to worship them directly. And they started to worship these idols, even though they were a pious people. And Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhu, the Sahih Islam, he explained the step-by-step process. And this is why there are two lessons we must learn as an ummah from this. One, not to do ta'adim al-qubur. Not to go and exaggerate the qubur. And to make ulu with ahlul qubur. We go and make dua for them. As from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. We don't go and ask them for dua. We go and make dua for them. We don't ask the people of qubur for dua. And the second lesson we learn is we stay away from hanging pictures. This fitna, whether it's your father, whether it's your grandfather, whether it's your wedding picture, whether it's somebody you love, whether it's a picture that was painted by your relative, doesn't matter. All of those hanging of pictures in the houses, putting them in frames and putting them, this is something that begins shirk in this ummah, and we must stop this shirk before it begins. The Prophet ﷺ, he gave us some beautiful advice about these things. To stop something before it begins. Some people, you tell them, don't hang a picture of your grandfather in the house. So, brother, I'm not worshipping it. I'm not making shirk with it. But you tell the brother, this is where it begins. If you tell somebody, don't build this grave, they say, we don't worship the grave. You're going to keep going until you worship it? You must stop this before it happens. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, in the authentic hadith, he told us, don't make salah when the sun is rising or when the sun is setting. We discussed this in the fiqh dars in detail. I'm only giving the ibarah here. When the sun is setting, when the sun is rising, we cannot make nafal salawat. These are times of mana. Even though you're praying to Allah, you're praying to the Qibla, you're not making shirk. But because it's like the people of shirk, the Prophet ﷺ, he forbid it. The Prophet ﷺ, he forbid it. Because when it starts to go close to the way of shirk, this has to be stopped before a person goes to shirk. The Prophet ﷺ, he told us to trim the mustache and grow the beard. To do the opposite of what the kuffar used to do. They used to shave the beard and grow the mustache. To make a difference. The Prophet ﷺ forbid us from making tashbih with kuffar in our libas, in our clothing, in colors that we wear, in all of these things, to keep us away from shirk, so we don't even go close to shirk. And this story is something that it gives a reminder to us about this. And because this is the first time in the history of insan that shirk, of worshipping other than Allah, began, the first time a Rasul was sent. Adam a.s. was a prophet, he was a Nabi, but not a Rasul. He didn't have to bring a Sharia, because I said for 10 Qurun, for 10 generations, they were upon the Sharia of Haqq, upon Tawheed. But here, when the first time shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala began, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a Rasul, a messenger with a Sharia, to show that this shirk is haram, that this innovation that began is something that should be forbidden. And every prophet, he was sent with this message after Nuh alayhi salam, to stop shirk. Because before Nuh alayhi salam, there wasn't shirk. So the message was basically to stay remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to stay upon the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But once shirk began, this became the message of every prophet to stop their nation from going towards shirk. Nuh alayhi salam for 950 years. This is the dars of Seerah. I'm only telling you what is important for us to know about the Prophet ﷺ. But for 950 years, Nuh alayhi salam, he gave da'wah to his nation. We should take a lesson from this. Those of us, may Allah reward you, who are active in da'wah, that go out and put out temples and go out to the people and reach out to them, go out to the people and call them towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should learn a lesson of patience. Imagine today, if we speak to somebody for an hour and they don't listen to us, and they put their fingers in their ears, we will start cursing them. We see some of the du'at, when they give da'wah da'wah to somebody and they don't listen or they deal badly, within an hour we've lost our temper. But Nuh alayhi salam, we're talking about a prophet of Allah, one of the greatest prophets of Allah. Not somebody weak like me, not like us today, but one of the greatest Anbiya, the first Rusul. He gave da'wah for 950 years, and how many people became Muslim? Very few. The numbers that have been mentioned are from 7 to 10 to what seems to be most authentic from Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma with a Sahih Islam, 80. And that's the biggest number that we have. The biggest number, that 950 years of da'wah, how many people became Muslim? How many people became Muslim? 80. Imagine 950 years. If every year only one person became Muslim, how many would be Muslim? 95? 950? I just want to make sure that brothers here aren't going to sleep here. It's not a math test. So if one person became Muslim here, 950 people would be Muslim. If one person became Muslim every 100 years, how many people would be Muslim? 95. But the most number that's been there is only 80. That less than one person for 100 years, does this mean that da'wah of Nuh alayhi salam was lacking? Wallahi no. And that's what we should understand. Our responsibility is to give the da'wah. And if the people don't listen, this is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If the people come, don't think you were a great da'i, that you did some great, amazing da'wah, mashallah, your hikmah was so strong. No. It's the hidayah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nuh alayhi salam, after 950 years of giving da'wah, he realized that shirk was not ended. And every prophet is given an accepted dua. A dua that is accepted no matter what. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, our beloved prophet of our ummah, he saved that dua for the day of judgment, to use as intercession for his ummah.
What percent how it is 9 people and a half?
950?
9 people and a half.
9.5 people. You're right. So, less than one person per year. Or 10 years. Now, when we go to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we find that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he saved that dua. But Nuh alayhi salam, he used the dua to destroy his nation. Why? Ibn Adam, one of the Mufassirin, he mentioned a great hikmah here. He says it was not that Nuh alayhi salam didn't love his nation, but it's that Nuh alayhi salam hated shirk more than anything else. And he wanted that there be nobody left on earth to do shirk, to make shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he made the dua to ask Allah to destroy everybody who was upon shirk, and save only those who are upon tawheed. And in this time, we find some of the Mufassirin and some of the ulama and a lot of our du'at today, those that are giving da'wah, they have a weakness of iman. So they tell people, when people question them, how could there have been a flood that covered the whole earth and only one boat was left? They say, well, maybe the flood didn't cover the whole earth. Maybe it was just for a certain area and they tried to bring aqwal and they tried to... No need for this. What we know from the Quran and the authentic ahadith and from the Salaf al-Salihin, the whole world was flooded. So, if this was the Quran, we believe it. If that's from the ahadith, that's what the Salaf said, we believe it. We don't need to justify this to anybody. Our justification is the Quran. Our justification is the Sunnah. And what we know, if we look at outside of that, every culture, from the Peruvians to the Egyptians to the Indians, you find in their culture a story of a major flood that covered the earth. Go do your research yourself, you will find, in every culture you will find it. Subhanallah. Of a flood that covered the earth. So we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He ordered Nuh alayhi salam to build a boat. And don't think this was some kind of super boat, made of some kind of super material, that it survived the flood. No, it is the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He was building this boat with obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by a mountain. His people, the kuffar, they made fun of Him. Today when they made fun of us, remember Him. He was building a boat. They told Him, subhanallah, used to say Nuh was a Nabi, now he became a Najjar. He used to be a prophet, now he became a woodsmith. Somebody who was building things. He says, Nuh, at least go build your boat by the river. Why are you building it by a mountain? How foolish is that? He said, this is obedience to Allah. He said, it doesn't make sense. It's against my intelligence. He said, it's obedience to Allah. Today when we tell people that Adam a.s. was created without a father, without a mother, without any monkeys or evolution, they say, what do you mean? It doesn't make sense. It says in the Quran. They say, no, it's got to make sense to you. Your sense is little, and Allah's hikmah is a lot. We don't need your sense. We need the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered Nuh a.s. to build a boat by the mountain. And he built his boat. And when the water came, the first place it came from wasn't rain or wells. It came from their ovens. They used to bake bread in there, the tunur. It came from there. And then it came from the rain. And it came from the rivers. And the flood came. And even at that time, only Nuh a.s. and the ones who were believers, they went to the boat. Everybody else, they thought, we'll find another way. Today we tell people, turn back to Allah. Ask Allah. They say, no, we need to vote. We say, turn back to Allah. They say, no, we need to become Democrats and Republicans. We need to get lobbies. We need to do this. We need to do that. We say, ask Allah. They say, brother. But Allah's going to help you out of nowhere? Yes, Allah's going to help you out of nowhere. What happened to that yaqeen? Gone. Today is gone. Today you look at Muslim organizations. This is our election. This is our voting. This is our committee. Let us just start it with kufr. So we can make the model of kufr and then call it Islamic. Did the Prophet have elections? Did the Sahaba cast votes who's going to be Khalifa? What happened to running an Islamic organization with Islam? We're only left with the name. And today when I say this, now people are going to complain. Brother, take it easy. SubhanAllah, Nuh alayhi salam, he began building and he continued until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started to cover the earth. Nuh alayhi salam, one of his own sons, he did not believe in Nuh alayhi salam. His other sons did. But one of his own sons, his father told him to enter the boat. He said, I'm going to go on a high place. Logic, again. It's a high place, water won't reach there. Look, Allah said you get in the boat. Your boat's small, it's going to sink. A high place is better. It's the order of Allah. No, my logic tells me go there. So he went. As far as the wife of Nuh alayhi salam, she also didn't believe. And we know this in the Quran. But think about this. We're going to talk about nasab and relations and families and tribes and races. But think of it from now. This is the son of one of the greatest Anbiya, he's a kafir. The wife of one of the greatest Anbiya, she's a kafir. Your blood relations won't get you anywhere. Your iman, your belief in tawheed, your aman, your begging of Allah, your submitting to Allah, this is what's valued. This son, according to many of the Mufassirin, like Al-Tabari and Baydawi, and Imam Ibn Kathir, there have been two names narrated for him. One, Kan'an. Not Kin'an, the kasr of the kaf, that's somebody that comes in the generation later. And the other, Yam. According to Ibn Kathir, the stronger narration is his name was Yam. Ya alif min Yam. And he was the one that he didn't obey his father. And when Nuh alayhi salam, he made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell him? إِنَّهُ لَيْسَ مِنْ أَهْلِكَ. إِنَّهُ لَيْسَ مِنْ أَهْلِكَ. What is ahead your family? And this son, Yam, is the blood son of Nuh from him. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him, he is not from your ahl. Why? إِنَّهُ عَمَلٌ غَيْرُ صَالِحٍ. Verily, he has actions that are not upon piety. This son, he was disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was disobedient to his father. He wasn't from the people who left their shirk. They're running from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even though he was the blood son of Nuh alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, he is not from your ahl. And remember this, that our bonds are bonds of iman. Our relations are relations of iman. Today we forget these things, that this is what bonds us. Imam At-Tirmidhi and Al-Tabari, they mention authentically in the Sahih Hadith, that قال Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that from the generations of Nuh came the rest of mankind. From the generations of Nuh came the rest of mankind. جعلنا ذريته يعني Nuh alayhi salam هم الباقعين in the Quran. That from the generations of Nuh were the rest of mankind. So he is called the second father of mankind. The first Adam alayhi salam, now the second Nuh alayhi salam. Nuh alayhi salam, as Imam Ahmad has narrated from the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam in an authentic narration, that Sam هو أبو العرب وهام هو أبو الحبش وياقب هو أبو الروم. From these three sons of Nuh alayhi salam came these generations. From Sam came the Arab. From the son of Nuh alayhi salam named Sam came the Arab. From the other son Ham came the people of Habasha, the people of Africa. And from Yaqub came the people of Rome, the people who were Roman, which is a reference to Europeans. Now, other narrations they mention from Ham and Sam and Yaqub, other people as well, but those are weaker generations. Weaker generations. And I'm sticking to the more authentic ahadith. But Al-Tabari in his Tariq and Ibn Kathir, he says that even though the Prophet ﷺ, he gave these major tribes or major races from the humans, the other races also came from them. Because we know that there are, for example, Chinese people, there are Russians, there are Mongolians, there are other types of people who are on this earth that also came from those generations. So, the understanding that Ibn Kathir in Bidayah wal Nihaya takes is that from Sam came all the Semitic people, and from Ham came all the people of Africa and their different races that are within the continent of Africa. And from Yaqub came all the different races that are in the European arena, including Russians and Germans and everything that we see over there today. And from them also came others like the Turk people and the Mongolian people and the other people that came. From them they came. Al-Dhahabi and others, they authenticated these narrations, so we know. From Sam came the Arab. But how did they come? The Arab were not just one Arab. Today, we need to understand this issue. When we say Arab, what do we mean? If we mean an ethnicity that is based on DNA, then it's a very different understanding. Because many of the people that we call Arab today, if you trace back their lineage, they will not be Arab. The Arab, as Ibn Kathir and Ibn Hajar and other scholars have all explained, and I found a consensus amongst the ulama of Tariq. For example, in the Kitab al-Tariq al-Umam wal-Muluk of Imam al-Tabari, he shows an ijma' of the ulama of Tariq on this issue, that the Arab are of three types. Arab are of three types. Al-Arab al-Ba'ida. Al-Ba'ida were the original Arab, the first of the Arab. And who were this? As Imam Ibn Kathir, he said, في البداية والنهاية إن العرب العاربة. This is the second Arab that you find. The first is Ba'ida. Second is Ariba. And the Ariba, we'll discuss who they are. And the third is Musta'ariba. Musta'ariba, this is the third type of Arab. Now what are they? Tayyib. Al-Ba'ida, the first, these were those nations before Ismail alayhi salam. The original, before Ismail alayhi salam, before everything, and they were all destroyed. And from them are Thamud, and from them are the people of Ad. The people of Ad and Thamud, these were Arab, and these were Arab al-Ba'ida. فقالوا منهم العاد والثمود وقصم والجديش والأمين والعمالق وأمم الآخرون and other nations. ومنهم الجرحم هو والأمة يعني that Ismail alayhi salam he met with. So that these people were from the originals. From them, the original, the Ad and Thamud, they were destroyed, nothing was left of them. And this we find in the Quran. So they were the ones that were destroyed. The second generation are the Arab, Al-Rribat. And these are the original Arab from Yemen. And these are the people who were from the descendants of Qahtan. Al-Qahtan were Arab Al-Rribat. So when the Ba'ida were finished, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought from what was left from the Arab that were not in the nations of Thamud and Ad, because those were finished completely. But from the others, He brought Arab al-Rribat, and their generation begins with Qahtan. Ibn Kathir, he said, القحطان أول من تتكلم باللغة العربية بعد ثمود والعاد. After Ad and Thamud were destroyed, the first to speak the Arabic language, and from whom the Arab descended were Qahtan. And his nasab, as given by Ibn Hajar, he says, هو Qahtan bin Abir bin Shalikh bin Arfakhshar bin Sam bin Nuh alayhi salam. From Sam, from Nuh alayhi salam, from that generation he came. Al-Tabari, he agreed with this, as did Ibn Kathir. There is some khilaf about some of the names between Sam and Qahtan, but in essence this is what we find. Tayyib. And he was from the people of Yemen. And this is where the Arab began. Some of the ulama that said Rribat, they were in the areas of Hadramaut, but they didn't really live there. They kept moving. They were Bedouins. They used to move, and this was the real Arab, the Bedouins. After this, we see the third type of Arab, Al-Arab al-Musta'riba. Musta'riba, قال Ibn Kathir, Al-Arab al-Musta'riba هم Al-Arab al-Hijaz ومن ذريات إسماعيل وإبراهيم عليهما السلام. Ismail alayhi salam and Ibrahim alayhi salam were not Arab. They were not Arab. But when Ibrahim alayhi salam, he took Ismail alayhi salam to Al-Bakka, yani what we call Mecca today, and he left them there. The tribe that came, they were called Jurhum. Jurhum was a tribe from Yemen, and they came and they saw Hajar alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam, and as you know about Zamzam and the story there, they taught Ismail alayhi salam Arabic. He learned Arabic from them. And Ibn Kathir and Bidayah and Nihaya and others, they've mentioned this. And from Ismail alayhi salam's generations, and from those who married from Jurhum and others, came the third level of Arab, Musta'rib. Now I ask you, which one of these three, Ba'ida, Al-Rribat, Musta'riba, from these types of Arab, which one is the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Musta'rib. Because he's from the generation of Ismail alayhi salam. So here, a question comes. And I recommend whoever can, Al-Iqtida Sirat al-Mustaqim, the book of Sheikh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. He discusses this issue in great beauty, in great detail, that I don't have time to go over in that detail, but I'll mention a few fawaid from it, a few pearls or gems from it. So he talks about, what do you call an Arab? Ibn Taymiyyah talks about this, that if you say Arab has to be somebody whose fathers all came from Qahtan, yani the father of the Arab, then in that case, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would not be considered Arab. Because his father's came from Ismail alayhi salam, from Ibrahim alayhi salam, from generations that were not Arab. But rather, they learned Arabic from Jurhum, from the time of Jurhum. And there were Arabs there before that. So this is why Ibn Taymiyyah, he says, الاسم العرب في أصل كان اسم القوم جمع من ثلاثة أوصاف. أحدهما إن لسانهم اللغة العربية، أو كانوا من أولاد العرب، أو كانوا أمساكنهم كانت الأرض العرب، وهي جزيرة عربية. يعني إن شاء الله we'll stop here to translate. So he mentions three things that can make a person be called an Arab. One, he speaks the Arabic language. That's his language. He speaks the language of Arabic. He's an Arab. Even if his ethnicity is not Arab. Even if his DNA, his genetic breakup is not Arab, if he speaks the Arabic language, he can be called an Arab. Second, if he is from, genetically he is Arab. Like we see from the people of Qahtan and the Al-Rribat, genetically they were Arab. Or he lives in an area that is the land of the Arab, the Jazeera Arabia, and then he gives about the boundaries and discussions of this. All three of these can be called Arab. Now a question about the lineage of the Prophet ﷺ and discussions about Al-Arab. If we look at the lineage of the Prophet ﷺ, his father is Abdullah, his grandfather is Abdul Muttalib, his great-grandfather is Hashim, whose father is Abdul Manaf, whose father is Qusay, whose father is Kilab, whose father is Murrah, whose father is Ka'ab, whose father is Lawi, whose father is Ghalib, whose father is Firhi, whose father is Malik, whose father is Nasr, whose father is Kinana, whose father is Al-Khuzayma, whose father is Mudrika, whose father is Ilyas, whose father is Mudar, whose father is Nizar, whose father is Ma'ar, whose father is Adnan. Up to Adnan, we know this from authentic chains of narration. This is authentically established amongst the scholars of Tariq, the lineage of the Prophet ﷺ up to Adnan. From Adnan to Ismail alayhi salam, there are chains where there is khilaf, where there is a disagreement. And from Ismail all the way then to Adam alayhi salam, there is a great amount of khilaf and extremely weak narrations. But up to here we find this to be from authentic narrations. Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah, he wrote in Zad al-Ma'ad, إلى ها هنا يعني إلى عدنان معلوم بالصحة متفق عليه بين الناسدين يعني العلماء النسب ولا خلاف فيها. يعني this is what we know authentically, that all of the scholars of generations have come to an agreement without any khilaf. And I checked all the different books of Seerah, and I found this in Seerah ibn Hisham, in Seerah al-Nabiyah Ibn Hibban, in Dalail al-Nabuwah of al-Bayhaqi, in Shu'b al-Imam of al-Bayhaqi, in Seerah of al-Dhahabi, and in Fath al-Bari of Ibn Hajar. All of these came together for this understanding. Now, a very important discussion begins. And Ibn Taymiyyah, rahmatullah alayhi, he discusses in Iqtida Sirat al-Mustaqim about the Fadail of Arab and the Fadail of Lugha al-Arabiya. How many of you know the language of Jannah? Raise your hands. How many of you know what is the language of Jannah? Raise your hands. Fadl Mahmoud Bhai. Arabiya. Nobody else knows? Just Mahmoud Bhai, mashallah. Okay, how many of you agree with Brother Mahmoud that Jannah or Lugha al-Arabiya? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, mashallah. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Any more? 27, mashallah. 28. Okay, who doesn't agree? Who says this is not an authentic? Just shake. You raise your hand for both. Say if 2 or 3 of you don't agree, and almost 30 of you, or maybe 3, 4, 5 of you don't agree, almost 30 plus, they say this is the language of Jannah. This is a book, Al-Mawdu'at, of Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah. Al-Kitab al-Mawdu'at of Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah. I brought the book with me just to make sure in case somebody tries to lynch me after the dance, I can just give them the book. فقال ابن الجوزي فعن عطاء قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم حب العرب بثلاث أنا عربي والقرآن العربي والكلام أهل الجنة العربي. It's really proof, right? That Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم has been reported to have said on the authority of Atta that loved Arab for 3 reasons. Because I am Arab and the Quran is in Arabic and the language of the people of Jannah is Arab. فقال الذهبي أذن حديث الموضوع Al-Dhahabi said, I believe that this is a fabricated hadith. وقال الشيخ الباني, and this is my own note, Ibn Jawzi didn't quote الشيخ الباني. وقال الشيخ الباني حديث موضوع في سلسلة حديث الضعيفة وموضوع حديث رقم 160. طيب. وقال العقيلي لا أصل له. وقال ابن حبان فيها يحيى بن يزيد يروي المقلوبات ولا يحتاج به شيء. This hadith is a موضوع hadith. يعني, what does it mean to be موضوع? It is a fabrication. This hadith is not established. It is not da'if, it is fabricated. Ibn Jawzi, he mentioned that in mawdu'at, he considered it mawdu'. Abu Hatim said, هذا حديث كذب. Ibn Hatim said, this hadith is a lie. This is a lie on the Prophet ﷺ. And I mentioned Sheikh Albani and Uqayli and Al-Dhahabi and others. I didn't find any of the muhaqqiqeen of the people who were people of tahqiq in checking mawdu'at, except they agreed that this was a fabrication. This hadith is not established. And Sheikh al-Islam Taqiyuddin Ibn Taymiyyah in Majmu' al-Fatawa, he was asked about this. He said, mu'allaqan, yani the sanad is not established. It is as if it is without a sanad. So they asked Sheikh al-Islam, and there's a question in your mind right now. Well, if it's not, then what is? What language is? So Sheikh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah said, some of the people said Farsi, but this is a lie. Some of the people said other languages, but they're all lies. And these fabrications were made when the people of Faras and the people of Arab were competing against each other, and they made these fabrications. And in Shaykh al-Islam Taqiyuddin Ibn Taymiyyah, he mentions in one of the fuller narrations of this fabrication, it said, Al-Lughat al-Jannah Arabi, wal-Lughat al-Jahannam, wal-Lughat al-Farasiyya. You guys didn't read the full thing, huh? This one said that the language of Jannah is Arabi, and the language of Jahannam is Farsi. And the people of Faras, they made, na'udhu billah, they made, both of these groups, they made their place in Jahannam by lying on the Prophet ﷺ. But they made their own hadith. They said, Al-Lughat al-Jannah Farasiyya, wal-Lughat al-Jahannam Arabiyya, لِيَنَّ الْإِبْلِيسَ يَتَكَلَّمْ بِالْعَرَبِ. نعوذ بالله. هذا كذب. هذا كذب على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. There's also that. Neither one of these established. Shaykh al-Islam Taqiyuddin Ibn Taymiyyah, when he was asked, what is the language of Jannah? He said, لا أدري والله. Inshallah, we'll stop for our damage. Now, after establishing this, I do want to clarify a few things. There was a group called the Shu'biyya. The Shu'biyya were a group, mostly from the Rafida, from the people who spoke Farsi. And they were a people who wanted to degrade the Arab. So they made this group to look down upon the Arab. And they would come up with ways to try to degrade the Arab and to speak down about the Arab and to try to talk about the Ahlul Faras as being afdal. And this is bid'ah. These are people of bid'ah. And Shaykh al-Islam Taqiyuddin Ibn Taymiyyah, he wrote the entire abwab here to make rad on them. And we want to here explain that we as Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored the Arab. No doubt. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam from the best of them. And I will mention the hadith from Sahih Muslim. And this is a Sahih hadith. We establish our aqidah on the Sahih hadith. So here, in Sahih Muslim, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us, Inna Allah istafa. Yani istafa min ashya. I want to explain the hadith too. When we say istafa in the law al-Arabiya, you choose what you find to be better of two or more. إن الله استفى كنانة من ولد إسماعيل واستفى قريش من كنانة واستفى من القريش بني هاشم واستفاني من بني هاشم وهذا حديث الدليل الصحيح في فضائل الأرض. And this hadith is authentic Sahih from Sahih Muslim, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He chose Kinana from the children of Ismail alayhi salam. And He chose from them, from the children, from Kinana, He chose Al-Quraysh. Because He saw in them good. He saw in them virtue. So He chose them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose Banu Hashim from the Quraysh. And He chose from Banu Hashim the Prophet Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So we know from this that these people had virtue. They had good qualities. They had some goodness about them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose from them. And this is our aqidah, this is our belief. But we need to understand that this doesn't mean that the Arab in their DNA are better than the Ajam in fard, in a person. When we talk about racism, we have to be careful because we put everything in the American mindset. We talk about slavery, we put it in the mindset of the slavery in the United States. When we talk about racism, we took it. Here when we have racism, we have people who believe that the white man is better than everybody else just because he's white, because of his DNA. Or the black man is better than everybody else because of his DNA. And this is not established in Islam anywhere. The best of mankind was from Banu Hashim, from Quraysh, from the Arab. And the worst of mankind, who has a whole surah cursing him, Abu Lahab, was from Banu Hashim, from Quraysh, from the Arab. So we don't believe in anybody just having al-fard, being afdal min al-fard, because of his DNA. But we do believe that the Arab had some qualities that Allah gave them. And the Quraysh had qualities that Allah gave them. And Banu Hashim had qualities that Allah chose from them to bring the last of prophets. There is a beautiful book, Al-Masbooq Al-Dhahab fi Fadl Al-Arab wa Sharf Al-Ilm ala Sharf Al-Nasab. Ajib. Mar'i bin Yusuf. Look at this title. It's such a beautiful title. Mar'i bin Yusuf. Do you know Mar'i bin Yusuf? Who knows Mar'i bin Yusuf? What did he write? Dalil al-Talib, mashallah. We don't know Mar'i bin Yusuf. Al-Kalbi, Al-Damishqi, Al-Hanbali, made scholar. He wrote such a beautiful book, which is the building blocks of gold to show the fadl of the Arab. But then he continues, he said, وَالشَّرْفِ الْعِلْمِ عَلَى شَرْفِ النَّسَبِ, that the beauty of ilm or the honor of ilm is much higher than that of your nasab, of your tribe or your race. He writes in this that they were ajam. I'm going to give just a few points because I don't have time to get into it. If you want to get the book, read it, inshallah. He said they were ajam who were better than 1,000 Arab, like Suhaib al-Rumi and Bilal al-Habashi. And nobody on the face of the earth from the believers will take Abu Lahab, Abu Jahl, and those from Banu Hashim and Quraysh over Bilal or Suhaib al-Rumi. And he says they were better than 1,000 Arab. In fact, they were better than 1,000 Qurayshis, even if they were from Banu al-Abbas, even if they were aqrab of Nabi, so from the family of the Prophet ﷺ. But if they didn't believe, these ajam were better than 1,000 of them. He says the virtue of essence doesn't mean individuals. Rather, it means that the Arab together had some qualities that were virtuous. But there are people whose lineage will go back to the same lineage of the Prophet ﷺ, but they will be worth nothing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they didn't bring Tawheed. And there will be people like Julaybi, whose lineage is not even known, but he is loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet ﷺ. He says the honor should be relied upon being earned, not being given. Honor comes with taqwa wal ilm, knowledge and taqwa. And he mentions a hadith, and this is in Sahih Muslim. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله تعالى أوحي إلي أن تواضع حتى لا يبغي أحد على أحد ولا يفخر أحد على أحد. Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم in the Sahih hadith from Sahih Muslim, he said that Allah has revealed to me through wahi that we should, all of us should adopt humility. We should be humble so that no one wrongs another and no one is condescending towards another. Nobody is proud towards another. Continuing the hadith, he mentions the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. And Imam al-Bukhari has put this in Bab al-Hasab في كتابه الأدب المفرد, not in Sahih al-Bukhari but Adab al-Mufrad. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن أولياء يوم القيامة المتقون إن كان نسب أقرب من نسب. حديث رواه أبو داود حديث حسن. just learn this hadith, it would be enough for you. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrates that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that my awliya, my friends, those that are close to me on the day of judgment will be those people of taqwa. Even if somebody's lineage is closer than another. Even if somebody's lineage is closer than another, that will not make them my awliya. But the people of taqwa will be my awliya. وعن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما قال لا أرى أحدا يعمل بهذه آيات وقال يا أيها الناس إني خلقناكم من ذكر والأنثى حتى بلغ إن أكرم عند الله أتقاكم. سبحان الله. وقال ابن عباس رضي الله عنه بعد أن قرأ هذه الآية فيقول الرجل للرجل أنا أكرم منك وليس أحد أكرم من أحد إلا بتقوى. وقال الإمام البخاري يعني خرج هذا في الأدب المفرد وقال الشيخ الباني حديث الصحيح. Ibn Abbas رضي عنهما, he said, I have not seen people acting upon these ayat of Quran. I don't see people acting upon it. And then he read the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, O mankind, we have created you from one man, one male and one female, until he got to the part where he says that the best amongst you, akram, the most honored amongst you in front of Allah are those with the most taqwa. And then Ibn Abbas says, today we see one man telling another. And imagine this is the time of the Sahaba. In the time of Ibn Abbas, one man telling another that I am more honored than you. And then Ibn Abbas said, nobody is more honored in front of Allah except with taqwa. Except with taqwa. And Abu Hurairah reported, it was said, Ya Rasulullah, to the Prophet ﷺ, من أكرم الناس فقال أتقاهم. فقالوا ليس عن هذا لكن نسألك يعني we're طيب. Abu Hurairah says that it was asked of the Prophet ﷺ, who is the best of mankind? So the Prophet ﷺ said, the most honored of mankind is the one with the most taqwa. So they said, that's not what we're asking. Yani we're asking about nasab, about race. So the Prophet ﷺ said, قال فيوسف نبي الله ابن نبي الله ابن نبي الله ابن خليل الله. ورواه البخاري, هذا في صحيح مسلم, رواه البخاري الكريم ابن الكريم ابن الكريم ابن الكريم يوسف بن يعقوب بن إسحاق بن إبراهيم عليه السلام. Subhanallah, look at the nasab that the Prophet ﷺ took us towards. Instead of taking us towards the nasab of this tribe and that tribe, when they wanted to know which lineage was best, he gave the example of Yusuf alayhi salam, the son of a prophet, the son of a prophet, the son of a prophet, even though Yusuf alayhi salam is not Arab. So bin Israel. So I will end here because we don't have time with a very important note. We as Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah have to believe that the Arab had good qualities, they had fadl, they had virtue, that Allah chose from them, Al-Quraysh, who had good qualities, that Allah chose from them, Banu Hashim, and chose from them the best of mankind, the Prophet ﷺ. And we also believe that the closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has the most taqwa. No matter what lineage somebody is from, no matter what race anybody is from, no matter what, when you want to know who should lead salah, we don't look at who's Arab and who's Ajam. We don't look at who's Afghan from who's Bengali. We don't look at who's close to me from who's far from me. We look at the one who knows the Quran the most. We look at the one who knows the Sunnah the best. We look at the one who is the eldest in age. We look at those qualities that the Prophet ﷺ has told us. When we look at who is the one who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses, we see different people in different times. There were Anbiya sent to every nation. And the most Anbiya were sent to Bin Israel. And that doesn't mean Bin Israel is better than anybody else. If we look at the ulama of Islam, we find from them Arab. But we find from the majority of them Ajam. If we find the greatest of the ulama of Hadith, we find Al-Bukhari and Ajam. If we look at the greatest from the ulama of fiqh, who were the people who originally working on fiqh, we find Nu'man bin Thabit and Ajam. If we find from the greatest of ulama in Nahu and Lugha al-Arabiya, we find a Sebaway al-Afarasi. So we don't give virtue just because of race. We give virtue because of how taqwa you have, the ilm you have, the work that you do. And each one of us should go back. And I don't mean this just for the Arab, because those of you and those of us who are not Arab have developed our own racism. My tribe and my people and my clan against your, the Hawiya and the Darud, the Muhammad Zay and the Yusuf Zay, the Sayyids and the Qurayshis. We find this in every people, the racism there. And we need to end this. Our ikhwan of the people of taqwa. I will end inshallah because the lack of time will continue. But we now know the generation and the lineage of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, coming from Sam, the son of Nuh alayhi salam, and we'll begin from Ibrahim alayhi salam in the next class. Jazakumullahu khairan. If you have questions, inshallah, I can take a couple now, and then we'll take them after salah. You can ask me at home. تفضلوا أبو المنصور.
يا أبا يوسف جزاك الله خير.
حياكم الله حبيبي. أهلا بكم. نورت المسجد.
I would like to, if you could share with us and to clarify the grave of the Prophet ﷺ in the Masjid al-Nabawi.
What about it?
Basically, when you said
Why is
about
it
the grave, having graves in the Masjid, if you could clarify that.
Jazakumullahu khairan. Beautiful question. Inshallah, something to benefit everybody. Alhamdulillah, we see one of our brothers here that's really made me happy to see it. We should not have masajid built on graves. This is something established from Sahih Ahadith. The Prophet ﷺ has told us that the people before us were cursed by Allah because they took the places of the graves of their Anbiya as places of Salah. So we know this is forbidden. But then you ask, why is the grave of the Prophet ﷺ in Masjid al-Nabawi? For this, you have to understand that Masjid al-Nabawi, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, was a very small one. And next to Masjid al-Nabawi was the house of the Prophet ﷺ, which had smaller houses inside of it, which were each given to one of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. One of the houses that shared a wall with the Masjid al-Nabawi was the house of Aisha radiallahu anha, as we know from many Sahih Ahadith. Here we see that when the Prophet ﷺ was dying, he was in the house of Aisha radiallahu anha, not in the Masjid, in the house of Aisha radiallahu anha. And when he died, many of the Sahaba were going to take him, as in the Sahih Hadith, to Al-Baqi', Jannat al-Baqi', the graveyard, to bury him. But there was one Sahaba, and only one, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. He narrated a hadith. He said, my Khalil, yani Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, told me that when the Anbiya died in a place, they are buried in that place. Not Ali, not Umar, not anyone. Abu Bakr is the one that mentioned this hadith. Many of the Rafidah today, they say he didn't even see it until he was buried in A'udhu Billah. Even though we know from the Sahih hadith, Abu Bakr then he kissed the forehead of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he is the one that narrated this hadith. And based on this hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he's a Nabi of Allah, he had to be buried where he died, in the house of Aisha radiallahu anha, outside the masjid, not in the masjid. Now, once the Prophet ﷺ was buried in that house, as you know, most of you have been for Hajj or Umrah, when you go Medina, if we left the masjid as it was, none of us would be able to make salah inside the masjid. Those 10, 20 people, 100, 200 would be able to pray, the rest of us, where would we pray? So the masjid expanded, and it grew all around where the grave of the Prophet ﷺ was. The masjid was not built on the grave. The grave was outside the masjid. Till today, nobody makes salah in that place where the grave is. But the masjid grew, and today, some of the ulama of Tariq said, the inner of the whole city of Medina is now inside Masjid al-Nabawi. The old city of Medina, all of that is inside Masjid al-Nabawi. Where people used to go to the bathroom and everything, now that's gone. Because the masjid had to expand. As Masjid al-Haram in Mecca is now expanding. With Jabal Umar, which used to be the outskirts of Mecca, has now come within the masjid. So that is why the grave of the Prophet ﷺ is enclosed with the masjid, even though till today, it is not a part of the masjid. Tayyib, inshallah, we'll stop for salah. If there are some short questions, you can ask me personally after salah. Today there is also the program with Brother Yusha Evans, Masjid Abu Bakr after Isha. Inshallah, you guys can easily make it, so I encourage the brothers to attend that as well. Jazakumullah.